If your personal brand feels stuck right now, it's probably not a marketing problem that's holding you back. It's an intention problem because most purpose driven solopreneurs are doing the work. You're posting, you're showing up, you're doing all the right things, yet the momentum never seems to come. Your brand feels stuck. And honestly, you feel stuck too. But when this happens, the issue generally isn't what's on the surface, like your social media post or your marketing strategy, because those are simply tools for growth. They aren't the source of it. Think of it this way. You can have the fanciest shovel, but if you're digging in depleted soil, nothing's going to grow. The real problem isn't the tools, it's the soil. And by soil, I mean your intention, the deeper foundation from which your brand grows from. Now, think of it this way. Your intention is the unique mix of your perspective, your purpose, and the deeper reason why you started your business in the first place. And today, we're digging into why doing all the right things can sometimes be the very thing keeping your brand stuck. I'm going to show you how to recognize when your intention has worn thin, how outside noise slowly drains the energy from your work, and how you can reconnect your brand to the deeper foundation that makes it thrive. And stick around until the end because I'm going to share a simple exercise that will show you whether your brand is genuinely rooted in intention or if it's quietly stuck and just going through the motions. Now, when your brand starts struggling, it usually means the soil has become depleted. In other words, your intention is starved and the outside noise has grown louder than the vision you started with. And when that happens, something subtle begins to shift. You stop creating for purpose and start reacting to the pressure to perform. And instead of asking, what is the actual impact I want to make? You find yourself asking questions like, what is my competitor doing? Or why isn't my launch performing like theirs? Now, hear me, these aren't bad questions, but when they become your primary guide, your focus slowly shifts from intention to performance. And over time, your brand looks polished from the outside, but on the inside, you can feel that something is missing. And when that happens, creating content starts to feel like a drag. Decisions that once felt easy suddenly take forever, and you find yourself second guessing every single move. And that emptiness is the tension between the unscripted entrepreneur you are in real life and the carefully managed version that's showing up online. And when that gap grows too wide, your brand turns into something you're constantly trying to manage instead of something that grows naturally from within you. So instead of constantly asking what the market wants from you, look at your work honestly and ask yourself, is this offer, this email, or the next decision coming from my intention? Or is it simply a survival strategy? Because most founders struggle here, not because they aren't trying, but because intention has been watered down into a vague, almost irrelevant buzzword. But in reality, intention is extremely practical and essential. It's the reason why you started your business, and it becomes the filter for every decision you make. But to understand that filter, we have to talk about something deeper, your perspective. Now, your perspective that's shaped by your intention is actually what nourishes your brand over time. Think of it like compost in a garden. Every experience you've had, every success, every setback, every unexpected failure becomes part of the nutrient system that feeds your work. But compost isn't made from perfect ingredients. It's made from scraps, the things that didn't work, the failed launches, the frustrating moments, or the times you felt invisible, like you were shouting into a void and no one was listening. And over time, those experiences break down and they become the substance in your soil, the very thing that allows your brand to thrive. Unfortunately, many founders try to build their brand around the wrong things. They look at their resume, their credentials, their certifications, but the truth is, resumes rarely make a brand magnetic because intention doesn't come from credentials. It comes from the deeper reason you care about this work in the first place. And that intention shapes your perspective. For example, two founders can teach the exact same framework, but the founder with clear intention will always stand out because audiences aren't just looking for information. They follow people whose intention is so clear, you can feel the difference in how they see the world. And your experiences shape that perspective. The challenges you face, the lessons you've learned the hard way, all of that becomes the compost that nourishes your brand. It's also the one thing competitors or even AI can never replicate. Now let's talk about something else that affects your brand soil, the weeds. Think of everything that distracts your brand: copying trends, obsessing over competitors, or prioritizing credentials over purpose as weeds in your garden. But if you want the right things to grow, those weeds eventually have to be pulled. Because when your intention becomes clear again, something powerful happens. You stop letting performance based doubts guide every decision and instead allow intention to become the filter. And once you have that filter, you stop trying to grow every plant that exists because you realize something very important. Not everything belongs in your brand. And this shift changes everything. Your brand stops feeling scattered. Your message suddenly becomes clearer, and you gain control over what you say, what you create, and what you choose not to participate in. And that's when real momentum for growth suddenly begins to appear. I once saw this play out with a founder who ran a luxury vegan leather handbag brand. On paper, everything looked perfect: beautiful branding, professional visuals. Everything looked exactly how a sustainable brand should. But she was stuck. Creating content felt exhausting for her. She carefully calculated every post to sound sustainable instead of honestly expressing what actually mattered to her. And it was only when she stepped back and examined the deeper intention that her brand had been growing from that a major shift happened. She realized that the real impetus behind starting her brand wasn't just about sustainability. It was her growing frustration with misleading greenwashing practices and the lack of transparency in that industry. So once she stopped chasing the ideal sustainable brand image and started speaking from that honest frustration she had, everything changed. Her message became clearer, her audience immediately responded, and her brand finally began to grow naturally. Now that we've laid down the groundwork, let's get our hands dirty. We're going to dig past the surface to see whether your brand is truly rooted in intention. And this simple exercise will show you whether your soil is nourishing your brand or if it's slowly draining your energy. All right, first pull up your website or wherever your brand currently lives online. Now, look at it as if you're encountering it for the very first time, not as the founder, not as a creator, but a total stranger. Then ask yourself one simple question: what does this brand actually stand for? Next, find 3 pieces of your most recent content. Maybe it's a post, a landing page, or a video, and ask yourself, why did I actually create this? And if your honest answer sounds something like, I just needed to post something, or, this topic was trending, highlight it, because that right there is where energy begins leaking from your brand. And that's the moment when intention drifted into performance mode and your intention was lost. Now, here's the fix. Take one of those pieces that you highlighted and rewrite it. But this time, don't create it from a checklist. Create it from the deeper place: your frustrations, your challenging lessons, or the moment you realized that you had a powerfully unique perspective that your industry was missing. When you do this, your audience doesn't just consume your content, they connect with it. And that's the difference between a brand people just browse past and one that actually grabs their attention and stops their scroll entirely. Building a brand without intention is like scattering seeds on depleted soil. You can water it, you can give it sunlight, but it will not grow and it will remain stuck. But when your brand is grounded in intention, everything in your business begins to align and your brand finally has the opportunity to thrive. So, if you're ready to build a personal brand that's as real as you are, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm Zakiyyah. As always, embody your ethos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.